Hello and good evening. Proactive stakeholder engagement has commenced ahead of the Petroleum Industry Bill passage to look at structure and mandate of the proposed Gas Aggregation Company of Nigeria, even as the NNPC and ICRC partner to deliver on the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline project. Remember the bankable grant from the USTDA, which we reported recently. This partnership will be galvanized by that grant and vice versa. HSE update and upgrade. Find out what these and other stories are all about in the details. I'm Akin Agbijule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
We see the NNPC as one of the global leaders in terms of publication of accounts and data. And we look to a champion like NNPC to show what others might also do and to follow elsewhere.
NNPC Retail launches a range of superior quality engine oils for improved engine health, life and efficiency. The NNPC lubricants, specifically formulated to give dependable all year-round engine protection, cleaner engines, oxidation resistance and discrepancy, turbocharged for high-grade performance, suited for motorcycles, automobiles, medium and heavy-duty stationary units. Buy NNPC lubricants, the energy to run for longer.
In anticipation of the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill (PIB), which seeks to categorize existing oil and gas industry players into policy, regulation and operations concerns, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources Gas Department has taken a proactive measure to engage stakeholders of the Gas Aggregation Company of Nigeria (GACN) to review the mandate and structure of the company. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, represented by Engineer Moses Olamide, made this known at a 3-day stakeholders review meeting in Abuja. Chief Silva stated that the review session was to aggregate and collate all concerns raised about the proposed Gas Aggregation Company of Nigeria (GACN) for it to be reflected in the new proposed petroleum legislation. Declaring the review meeting open, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Mr. Bitrus Bello Nabasu, urged the stakeholders to come up with recommendations which will rest all contentious issues concerning the GACN's structure and mandate.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has expressed its readiness to strategically put in place measures that could alleviate the cost of crude oil production in Nigeria, to create market for Nigeria's crude and make Nigeria a choice destination for foreign direct investment. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, made this known at the Central Bank of Nigeria roundtable discussion in Abuja. Malam Kyari stated that at the moment, the cost of crude oil production in the country was within the range of $15 to $17 per barrel, adding that some leaders in the industry, such as Saudi Arabia's cost of production, is between $4 and $5 per barrel.
For natural reasons, like the coronavirus and all kinds of floods and weather issues that can cause demand suppression. You can also have issues that are connected to the financial sector, which brings about obvious decline in consumption. And that brings down the price of oil, and also it now gets back into the financial sectors, and then everything else is impacted.
He said that in the face of the coronavirus global pandemic, countries like Saudi Arabia have given discount of $8 and Iraq $5 to their off-takers in some locations, meaning that when crude oil sells at $30 per barrel, countries like Saudi Arabia is selling at $22 per barrel, and Iraq selling their crude at $25 per barrel.
But what is rational to do is to assume certain basic fundamentals, which is that this price will remain low. And you make that assumption, it brings down your cost, you become more realistic about your estimates, your financial settings so that the banks know what they are funding.
The GMD said the NNPC was working round the clock to increase the country's daily production to 3 million barrels per day and shore up the crude oil reserves to 40 billion barrels. Malam Kyari called on government at all levels, captains of industries and the organized private sector to brace up for the new low regime of global crude oil prices, adding that realistic estimates must be made to reflect the current realities of the crude oil market. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has assured Nigerians that as a national oil company, it would continue to provide equal opportunity for all staff members to grow their careers irrespective of gender. The Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Kyari, stated this while addressing a delegation of Women in Energy Network, WIEN, who paid him a courtesy visit in Abuja. Kyari said that experience had shown that women have enormous potentials and capabilities to deliver on difficult tasks, adding that women in the corporation's workforce have continued to demonstrate ability to be trusted with responsibilities.
For us as a company, let me start with the NNPC. We are a very inclusive company by design and also by the very nature of the job that we do, which is to deliver power, energy, prosperity to this country. And you can't do this if you choose for anything less than the best that you can have. And that best doesn't know your color, doesn't know your tribe, doesn't know your religion, and doesn't also know your gender.
He assured that NNPC, as a responsible corporate organization, would continue to give equal opportunities to the women folk to enable them contribute their quota to the development of the country, adding that society had always limited the capacity of women on wrong assumptions. Earlier in her presentation, the president of Women in Energy Network, Mrs. Fumi Ogbe, said that the purpose of the visit was to look at areas of collaboration to enhance energy sufficiency for the nation.
We thought we'll come today, celebrate the International Women's Day, but also show our support to the administration around closing the energy gap.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has expressed its preparedness to work closely with the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission (ICRC) to deliver on the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano Pipeline Project (AKK) and other infrastructural projects of the corporation. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Kyari, represented by the Chief Operating Officer Gas and Power Engineer Yusuf Usman, made this commitment when he received the Director General of ICRC, Engineer Chidi Izua, at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. Malam Kyari noted that the NNPC had secured bankable grant from the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, USTDA, adding that the corporation was transiting into an energy company that would reduce to the barest minimum the power deficit of the country.
We already have the power plants that are in place and operational, that is the Okpai and then the Afan. And we are building on more power in order to generate 5,000 megawatts of power. So the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano is part of that initiative, but we have other power plants also in place.
In his response, Director General of ICRC, Engineer Izua, commended the NNPC for the AKK project, stressing that the move would go a long way in stabilizing the nation's energy demand.
The efforts by NNPC Gas and Power Investments to monetize this gas, three power plants in Abuja, a 1350 combined cycle power plant, a 900 megawatt combined power plant in Kaduna, one in Abuja, and the other one in Kano. It's extremely very welcome.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) says crude oil theft is not just an act of economic sabotage, but also a potent threat to national security. Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Malam Kyari, stated this at a public hearing organized by the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Crude Oil Theft at the National Assembly. The GMD, who was represented by the NNPC Chief Operating Officer, COO Ventures and Business Development, Mr. Roland Ewubari, said proceeds from crude oil theft were being used to fund criminal activities in the country, saying such should be treated as a matter of national security.
Every barrel you lose is revenue lost to this country, revenue we could use for development and for financing social programs and national infrastructure. When these criminals vandalize facilities, they don't do it best of environmental practices. All right, so you have people puncture lines or insert into lines to siphon. You then, unwittingly create spills which contribute to environmental degradation and damage to flora and fauna.
He said the neglect of the oil-producing communities was also a key factor that fuels crude oil theft, adding that it was the reason residents of host communities shield vandals and oil thieves. The GMD tasked the security agencies on the need to urgently tackle the issue, saying, quote, "Insecurity is robbing the nation of huge economic resources. Every drop of oil is critical to us. The government is yearning for resources to improve the lives of the people." End of quote. In his opening remarks, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, represented by the House Leader, Honorable Alhassan Ado Doguwa, disclosed that the nation was losing about 400,000 barrels of crude oil per day to oil thieves, equivalent to $1.7 billion per month.
It is time in our nation building to rethink and press the reset button on what we do, how we do them, with a view to ensuring that we leave behind a greater Nigeria for our children today and for the generations to come.
Speaking in similar vein, the chairman of the ad hoc committee, Honorable Peter Patterson, said in spite of the efforts by previous assemblies to tackle the issue, it was still going on unabated, adding that the current House was determined to examine the entire process from a different perspective this time around.
Crude oil, as of today, remains the mainstay of our economy, and leakages in the industry, if not checked, will hurt the economy and negatively impact development.
The Health, Safety and Environment and Quality GHSEQ Department of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is stepping up efforts to ensure that no staff or equipment comes to harm in the course of daily work activities. This was disclosed by Manager Quality Assurance, Mr. Yusuf Abdul Kadri, at the opening of a technical workshop on effective health, safety, environment management system implementation and evaluation, which held in Abuja. He said the department was committed to promoting all-round safety in the corporation by ensuring effective implementation and total compliance with safety standards and policies that guarantee incident-free workplace in a cost-effective manner.
Our production is going to increase by implementing effective HSE management system, which is international best practice. It's going to save life, it's going to save the asset, it's going to reduce tremendously cost of, for example, maintenance. It's also a tool for us, to proceed into ISO certification process, which the NNPC management has approved already.
He said the workshop was part of efforts to equip staff of the department drawn from the various CSUs, SBUs across the corporation with relevant knowledge and skills for effective HSEMS implementation, monitoring and evaluation.
In line with the current management's drive to ensure performance excellence, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has emerged as overall best winner at the just concluded 41st edition of the Kaduna International Trade Fair. The NNPC equally carted home the Most Functional Pavilion Award, and its newly launched lubricant, Nitro Diamond Engine Oil, came tops as the best product. The National Oil Company defeated both public and private companies that participated in the fair. Team lead of the NNPC contingent, Mr. Nyong, said the corporation will continue to ensure availability of petroleum products and serve as the key enabler of the national economy.
For them to also appreciate what the government is doing to ensure that there is availability, especially in the downstream, the white product.
The amount spent on petrol imported into the country dropped by 42% to 1.71 trillion naira in 2019. Data obtained from the National Bureau of Statistics has shown. The 1.71 trillion naira represented 10.75% of the amount spent on all imported goods last year, compared to 2018 when petrol accounted for 22.4% of total imports. The decline in the amount spent on petrol imports last year was partly due to the fall in the average price of Brent crude oil, the international benchmark. The price of Brent crude averaged $64 per barrel in 2019, down from $71 per barrel in 2018, according to Energy Information Agency. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has been the sole importer of petrol into the country for more than 2 years after private oil marketers stopped importing the commodity.
They've really touched so many people's lives in positive ways.
They really touched my life in many positive ways.
The impression I got from NNPC after the competition is the fact that it's a good one and it should be encouraged.
NNPC is an organization that is sincerely, genuinely interested in improving the lives of young people in many positive ways through investing in their intellectual capacity, investing in their education.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
Hello, it's a pleasure to have you join us on the feedback segment. My name is Julia Auta. Malam Mele Kyari resumed as the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, on 8th July 2019. Today, our lens will be bringing to you the public assessment of Malam Mele Kyari on how he has fared as the GMD of NNPC.
There is nothing good as having a technocrat in a particular position. You know, he knows what to do, he knows why he's there, and the least you can expect is an outstanding result. And that is exactly what we are having today.
I think there has been no issue of fuel scarcity, and that which means it did not give room for those who used to divert fuel to go and sell. I pray that they should continue like that so that Nigeria will do better.
I really appreciate him, that I want him to do more, and there is nothing like increase in fuel price or whatever.
There is no crisis at the South-South, there is no crisis of scarcity of petroleum products, and there is so much control. And just of recent, yesterday, they talk about the coronavirus, how they are going to step up energy to look at the oil sector so that the staffs that are in oil industry will not get affected.
There have been tremendous achievement from the downstream even to the oil and gas. He has really reformed the management of that NNPC.
He's performing very, very actively, and he's making sure Nigeria have an impact.
We are headed for the right direction with the kind of leadership that he is providing. We have seen more initiative to make the NNPC more transparent, with the initiative with the NIT, more like opening up the books and being more accountable.
Well, the reward for hard work is more work. And that's it on this segment.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on this segment of the program. My name is Tola Guguade. Did you know that Venezuela has the highest crude oil reserves in the world with about 301 billion barrels? Did you know that Saudi Arabia has the second largest crude oil reserves with about 266 billion barrels? Canada has about 170 billion barrel reserves, and it's ranked the third in the world. Did you know that Iran has about 158 billion barrels reserves, the fourth in the world? Did you also know that Nigeria has about 37 billion barrels reserves and is the second largest in Africa and the 10th in the world? Now you know. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices fell amid a broad decline in global markets after the United States banned travel from Europe following the World Health Organization's decision to declare the coronavirus outbreak a pandemic. Brent crude futures was trading down $1.65 or 4.6% at $34.14 a barrel, a little above earlier lows. The contract fell nearly 4% last week. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures was down $1.38 or 4.2% at $31.60 after also dropping 4% in the previous session. The two benchmarks are down about 50% from highs reached in January and had their biggest one-day declines on Monday since the 1991 Gulf War after Saudi Arabia launched a price war. The price difference between near-term and longer-term Brent prices also widened to the most in 5 years, prompting traders to fill tankers with oil to store for later delivery when they are betting prices will be higher. The United Arab Emirates followed Saudi Arabia in announcing plans to boost oil output after the collapse last week of an agreement between OPEC, Russia and other producers, a grouping known as OPEC Plus, to withhold supply and buttress prices. UAE's national oil company, ADNOC, said it plans to raise crude sales to more than 4 million barrels per day and accelerate a push to boost capacity by a quarter to 5 million barrels per day. The U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, and OPEC have slashed forecasts for oil demand because of the coronavirus outbreak and now expect demand to contract this quarter. Thanks for watching. I am Owigo Okolo.
Now that we are very happy that we have somebody who's the GMD that has been part of EITI at the local and the international level and knows that our work is not against the work of NNPC, that our work is actually complementary.
My brother, my sister, make we join the hand to stop pipeline of vandalization. They know they allow government to build the road, hospital, provide light, build the school, and make Nigeria be like big country. Make we dey fight the pipeline of vandalization. Make our country come better for we and we children. Now me and you go stop this wahala. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Make our country come better for we and we children. Make we dey fight this yama yama, fight this yama yama. Make our country come better for we and we children.
This message now from Public Affairs Division of NNPC.
That's our package. Thanks for joining us. Hope you didn't miss the takeaway. Impending reduction cost of crude oil production and great impact across the economy, up to touching your lives positively again. Let's do it same time, same station next week. Bye.